Very good day for you. And today we have invited to Mr. Nilushana. Is one of expert in agribusiness development in Sri Lanka as well as Asia Pacific region. So today, actually, it is one of very important reasons to talk about agribusiness development is because Sri Lanka is one of main income sources agriculture, but the developments and productivity and business development is also comparatively very low to the region. So therefore, we should have some thorough understanding about why we are facing some difficulties to agribusiness sector, small, especially SME sector, why they are not developed next stage. So to discuss about that in a brief way, we invited to Mr. Nilushana Suryarachi. He's one of expert in a lot of areas in agribusiness development. He's currently work as a consultant to IFAD in for Asia Pacific regions. So we will discuss today about one of main agribusiness model, which is called 4P model, which is public-private producer partnership model. So we'll discuss about Mr. Nilushana. What is that model actually?
Right, Tharaka, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity because I think it's a quite relevant topic at this juncture because people talk about this 4P concept and but most of the time we do get confused sometimes with the terminology, and I think this would be a good opportunity for me to give more exposure on this subject, especially in terms of Sri Lankan and also Asia and Pacific context as well regarding this model. So let me start with first 3Ps, because we first of all before we move into 4Ps model, we should we quite we hear about the 3P model, which is public-private partnerships. So what is 4P? Because here 4P we bring an element into the partnership model, which is the producer element, producer in the sense our smallholder farmers here. So why we need to bring a producer into this partnership model? Because it's quite important for me to give that exposure as well. So if you look at the global context, we know that out of all the agriculture activities, we do have around 600 million smallholders in a global setup, and they provide 1/3 of world food supply. So that is very important segment. We cannot simply ignore these smallholders because they play a very crucial part in providing food supply global and also in Sri Lankan context. But if you look at Sri Lankan context, they are more important. Because they provide around 70 to 80% of the food supply in Sri Lanka. So, but having said that, if you look at the resource availability for them, they are quite deprived with the resource, especially to access to finance, technology, and inputs. So if you look at these elements, so they don't get the chance to get these opportunities and also these resources to conduct their day-to-day activities in a smooth manner. And also we believe that government or the public sector, they should provide more and more resources and more, and also we think that the farmers need to depend on them. They should provide the inputs and they should buy the how do you call this, the harvest also eventually, and also government is having limited resources eventually. So the model itself, what we do, we leverage resources and expertise and also the efficiencies in different sectors. If you look at smallholders, they have special expertise, and also government having their own expertise, and private sector is also having their own expertise. So we pull them together, and then easier for us to mitigate risk. When you then it's easier for them have the benefit within this partnership. So it's basically about risk share, pooling resources, and getting the maximum benefit out of the partnership.
Right. Now the important thing of this approaches is smallholder. You are going to join with the private sector. So we have to actually highlight this. Why the important is this part. Joining producer with
very important question. Yes, very important question, because we know that, government role is quite clear when it comes to a partnership. They are kind of, they are doing a facilitation role, because, they cannot provide everything to, other two parties, private sector and also producers. They cannot depend on the government. Because government, as I said before, have limited resources, but they provide you the policy framework and also the soothing environment, enabling environment for other elements to work on these platforms, and also we can say partnerships. So private sector producer, they both play very crucial elements when it comes to 4P. So if you look at private sector, they do have the capacity, they do have the access to market, right? Readily available market they do have, and also they do have access to inputs, quality inputs, and also the working capital. They can provide the working capital, so farmers can, utilize that working capital and come up with, their produce, which is suitable for private sector to, procure and process into value-added or, any other form that, the market requires. And we know the private sector, when it comes to management, they do have superior capacity. When you compare with the government sector, their efficiency, their management capacity is quite higher. That's, common knowledge, and it's and also they have very good, coordination part. They do have these, extension officers in the field. They provide, a lot of, coordination among the value chain, and also the investment part. Since they do have the capital, they can, invest in rural infrastructure like storage facilities, transportation system. They can establish cold chain network. So those are very important elements when it comes to, private sector. How they play this, how they play a crucial role in this 4P partnership. And in addition to that, they are, quite brilliant in, market intelligence and providing, bringing down this technical expertise also. So we all know private sector, they do have the technology, but unfortunately that technology is not, being transferred to the smallholders when it comes to, implementation. So in these partnerships, what we do, we trickle down this, technical expertise from this private sector towards the smallholder farmers, so they can utilize it and, come up with a, quite holistic cultivation platforms for themselves, right? So when it comes to producer, we should not, forget about them. They also play a, very crucial part, because they know when it comes to local knowledge, they know how, they do have their own expertise, and also especially they do have, they are the owners of the production. It's like, especially when it comes to Sri Lanka, private sector cannot rely on, themselves. They cannot, because our land area is limited. Private sector can't have, their own farms, and they can't do, entire production and, get the raw material for them. So they have to depend on smallholder farmers. So the land limitation is there. So when it comes to producers, they do have the, ultimately the water and land and those kind of production assets. So private sector should depend on them. And also we know that, the labor, they can provide the labor to produce. And they can also co-invest sometimes. So both elements, private sector and producer, they play a very crucial element when it comes to the 4P, with the, providing these, different expertise. And then, synergistic kind of partnership can be developed accordingly.
Other thing is, according to my knowledge, I think IFAD is one of key, they are playing a very key role in initiation this kind of concept to the world. What is the role in Sri Lanka in Asia Pacific, the IFAD impact there?
Yes. So this, the concept is not quite, new, because they have piloted before even 2016. They have piloted this model in, especially in Uganda, and especially in tea value chain in Uganda, and also Rwanda, and sugar in Swaziland, and vegetable value chain in both Indonesia and Vietnam. But with mixed results. I'm not saying it was quite successful, because it's a new concept. Private sector should embrace the model. Otherwise, it's not going to be a success. But here, what we did in 2016, there was a project called National Agri-Business Development Program. So within 1 year, with the full support of IFAD, so they have developed 19 partnerships, such kind of partnership, 4P partnership, with the leading agribusiness companies in Sri Lanka. I don't have to mention the name, but they are the leading agribusiness companies, and benefiting over 40,000 smallholder farmers in the country. And with that success, they have developed a new project in Sri Lanka, which is called Smallholder Agri-Business Partnership Program. So it's still running at this moment. And they have now developed over 40 partnerships, benefiting more than 50,000 farmers. So IFAD is quite keen on this type of, partnership models because they are also limited because, they as a donor, IFAD is, trying to support much as possible for the farmers and expand their scope as much as possible. But unfortunately, the pool of resources also limited. So they try their level best to leverage, the investment from other co-financing partners. So private sector finance is quite important for IFAD. So that's why they, selected Sri Lanka and, specifically to, pilot this model. And it was a quite success in Sri Lanka. And then with the success, then the model has been expanded to other countries in Asia and Pacific as well, especially, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and also Pacific area, India as well. So IFAD role is very relevant, and they are very keen on, expanding this model not only in Sri Lanka, all over the globe as
well. Actually, if you like, you can share some success stories in Sri Lanka with implementations of Poppy's business model.
Yeah. So if I mention, this model is not, a concrete model, I say. So it's no one size fits all. You have to customize accordingly. Because if you look at different countries, it's my experience, because I have observed what happened in Sri Lanka as well as, the other countries as well. Sri Lanka, of course, it was a success because the private sector, they have to depend on smallholder farms because of the, land limitation and the amount of the raw material they require. Sometimes with trade barriers, they cannot import all the raw materials, like for Sri Lanka. For example, maize value chain. So maize value chain, sometimes government put restrictions, you cannot import for poultry feed production. So in that time, the private sector also, they have to depend on the smallholder farmers who are into maize cultivation. So the relationship is there. So it's easier for the partnership developers to and join them together and come up with a holistic partnership. But if you look at other countries like let's say Pakistan, they are geographically they are huge and the farmers are scattered, and the private sector necessarily they don't have to depend on smallholder farmers. They can have their own setups. They can have their own farms because land is abundant, and they can do a lot of things. For an example, LA's potato farming. Because we know about them. It's a quite prominent global brand, Pepsi company, under Pepsi company. So they have their own potato cultivation farm. Plus they do have their outdoor program as well. But solely they don't have to depend on the farmer. Smallholder farmers or farmers to set up this type of partnership model, right? And also the perceptions also matter. But Sri Lanka, the private sector is quite dynamic comparing to Bangladesh, Pakistan, and these other Asia countries. They are more more willing to come up with these kind of models and partnerships comparing to Pakistan and Bangladesh. So they are quite reluctant, hesitant because of maybe previous experiences. Bad experience, that would be the case. Sri Lanka, it was quite success. If I give you an example, dairy value chain is one of the more success model that we except Ambevela dairy farm. All the other dairy big processes, medium to big processes, they have partnered with this IFAD for come up with this type of 4P models, and benefiting more than 15,000 farmers as well from 2016 to 2023. At this moment, and so it was a quite success. But I should say the sustainability of this partnership is very important, because the role of brokering as well, because government they don't have any expertise in sometimes doing business. So the person who is brokering this partnership between farmers, between the government and the private sector, the person should have a proper understanding of the dynamics of each party. Then it's easier to get them together, because it's a tripartite agreement. You have to work along the agreement. And also the private sector, they should have a greater ownership of the model as well, because ultimately projects will go away, right? So they will, maybe after 5-6 years, project will be finished, and then private sector need to take the, project, in a long run, because otherwise the project is over, the partnership is also over. So that should not be the way. So the correct exit strategy and sustainability is very important when it comes to the success of 4P model.
Right. With that, actually, I think we got some comprehensive understanding with this short 15 minutes regarding 4Ps model. So with that, I would like to conclude today's sessions with Mr. Nilushana Suryarachi, and we hope to meet again with these gentlemen to talk about the farmer producer organization modeling next week. So with that, we will say thank you very much, Mr. Nilushana, and we will see you next week.
Thank you so much, Tharaka. I hope to see you again.
Thank you.